I've always been struck by the fact that kids seem to have an innate sense of their own rights, which sort of gets extinguished over time. Kids are have a great tendency to say things like, "It isn't fair," or "I can say what I want," or, "Those weren't the rules we started with."
So my values are your values, and they are not the values of the ACLU.
It's useful to think of power as a kind of a jungle of unlimited growth, and rights are the road that you carve and chop through.
I thought the ACLU were a bunch of kooks that just went around sort of like getting in the way of, actually, instead of helping with people's rights, it's getting in the way of communities' rights. So I had a whole different view of what the ACLU was about until they started helping us.
How did you know about the ACLU?
Well, I think everybody knows ACLU. They're fighting for the people's right.
Yeah, actually, we got a phone call from the ACLU, and I immediately took it as a great honor that they would be even interested in the case of us students. I had no notion that they were involved in cases involving student rights. I was stunned.
The ACLU lawyers that were representing us were very young. Their competitors, or whatever you want to call it, the lawyers for the town, were men in their 60s, late 60s. They've done this forever and a day. And I mean, I sat there and looked at our Davids and their Goliaths, and I thought I knew the kids could do it, but it made me even more nervous when the town brought in these big cannons. I mean, it was, I'll tell you, when that decision came, it was just, wow.
Rights are assertions of individual freedom against the social consensus, against the majority, against power. So the progress of rights very often depends on the willingness of people to make totally unrealistic assertions at their own risk, with victory only years, maybe decades away, victories that they may never themselves see.
The kids that I've spoken to are willing to take that step and stand up and say that the school system is not right.
We have some schools where you have science books that are 10 years old, and no toilet paper, no computers. Those kinds of things play into the kind of education that a child receives.
Without even trying to be discreet or anything, he commences to ask silly, which I consider stupid questions, like, can he walk and can he talk, and is he aware of space and of height? And at this point, I just got angry.
But we went anyway to see what they would do if we tried to distribute the leaflets. And in all of the malls, 10 of the regional malls all over New Jersey, we were threatened with arrest.
One of the senators picketed our house because he didn't want people with AIDS living there.
So I couldn't believe this. I said, this is discrimination. You just can't go around asking people. This isn't discrimination, he says. We just have to evaluate what he can and cannot do.
So the man came to me and said, move it. And I said, no, I'm not going to move it. So they cursed me out and they called me and they told me that they're going to stone me until I bleed. And then they approached the bus driver to stop the bus to throw me out from the bus.
What was there that suddenly made her say, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to sit down where I want to sit down?
I just did it. How to explain? I couldn't anymore that they pushed me around. I feel to me it felt very low. It's enough is enough.
I was mad. I was wild about what this wonderful hometown was doing, and I took it personally.
But I said, to my mind, I would not let this go by.
Well, it's very hard to even explain. They believe just because I'm a woman, I have to obey what a man tells me to do.
But could I ride this bus if I wanted to?
Well, Now you can. Now you can.
I have a basically optimistic viewpoint about this country and about people's commitment to individual freedom.
I was proud of her that she was standing up because she was not letting them get away with it, because they should not be able to get away with it.
The willingness of people to step out and take risks and act as if they do have those rights, because at some higher level they do. And it doesn't depend on what the forces and the powers, their employer or the government or the cops, or, say about it. And when they step out and take those risks and other people say, yeah, that's right, they give everybody an opportunity to think about whether they have those rights. And then if enough people act as if they have them, it becomes impossible to stop.
That's how my school is, though. They just want to brush everything under the carpet and say it didn't happen.
And how long were you out of school for? 3 days?
I was out, 3 days.
1, 2, 3, and 2 go 4. We're getting our education and walking straight through for the door. Ready to make a statement, so back on up. Are we ready to be leaders or what?
My school doesn't have an official dress code. All it says is to be clean and neat and don't wear, anything that's offensive. But who decides what's offensive?
I can't basically live on hatred because I have my own life to live. I can't let that hold me back from being what I want to be, live where I want to live.
Without struggle, there is no progress. And people will just not admit it, but we're just not going to all love each other right now today, and we just got to work through it. We've been built on it forever. Racism has been here forever, and it's not going to go away with a couple of seminars and a couple of, love everybody. It's going to take a lot of work, and we just have to deal with it. It's just how it is.
I think right now the mood of the country is to go back to destroying what the Constitution guarantees for all of us.
At this particular moment, I'd like to move to another country right now. I really would.
You're limited in what you can do by other people and not by yourself. People are the number one in this world. We must take care of them, and I think this is our prime responsibility.
Everybody deserves equal rights. It's not fair for one person to be above another. We're all the same inside. It's just the outside that's different.
I think we have the ability to become a great nation, to become a community and a society that speaks to the goodness of the whole. We just need to change a couple of our bad habits.
If you examine the state of American liberties in 1920 when the ACLU began, in 1930, in 1940, in 1950, in 1960, even if you examine it in 1970 and compare it with where we are in 1995, we are so far ahead. We are so much closer to our idealized version of what the Bill of Rights should be.
My own case is a relatively minor one, but I think of all of the civil rights cases and all of the First Amendment and freedom of expression cases. I think this would be a really different type of society if the ACLU hadn't been around.
You can feel really overwhelmed, steamrollered, pretty much. And so to know that an organization that had the track record, that had the resources of the ACLU, was there litigating the case for us, and that sometimes David can beat Goliath.
Now we have someone that we can call and say, look, is this right? Is this wrong? What can we do about it? And they're always willing to give advice and make us feel, yeah, go for it. We'll be there to back you up.
It's incredible. I mean, I feel good about it. I feel good knowing that out of the grief we went through to get this done, that other people everywhere else can benefit.
A few people said, well, the ACLU is only good for certain things. They are anti this and so forth. I said, yes, but they also look at the individual and the small person. Whether you don't agree with everything, I don't agree with everything that happens on the outside either,
To me, a patriot is a person who cares about other human beings.
The concept that the world is my country and that all mankind are my countrymen is the only goal to which we aspire.
There is that overwhelming sense of hopelessness and powerlessness and fatalism. It's just a decision that we have to make to look past that, to have faith, and with that faith to just go on and in a way have a kind of personal revolution.
And I think that is the real contribution that the civil liberties make. Its contribution to the spirit of liberty, to the spirit of resistance, to the spirit of determination, this courage, which, as Justice Brandeis says, is the secret of liberty.